With a commanding lead, former President Donald Trump is declared the winner in New Hampshire. And scientists put out a grave warning as the doomsday clock nears midnight. The morning rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Wednesday, January 24th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This is a fantastic state. This is a great, great state. You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now. Three.
Former President Donald Trump speaking to his supporters following his presidential primary win in New Hampshire. Trump defeated his last remaining rival, Nikki Haley, with a commanding victory. With 91% of the estimated vote in as of this morning, Trump holds a double-digit lead over Haley, with the former president at 54% and the former UN ambassador at 43%. Haley says despite some of the noise, claiming the race is over, she is not going anywhere.
Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation.
On the Democratic side, President Joe Biden won thanks to a write-in campaign, although no delegates were awarded because the Democratic National Committee's primary calendar this year begins in South Carolina on February 3rd. Also on Tuesday, the president's campaign had a management shakeup. 2 of Biden's aides are leaving the White House to now run his re-election bid. As tensions in the Middle East continue to grow, the U.S. announced it has struck more targets in Yemen and Iraq. U.S. forces conducted strikes in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen after locating 2 anti-ship missiles aimed at the southern Red Sea and determining they posed an imminent threat to merchant vessels and Navy ships. Meanwhile, at the direction of President Joe Biden, U.S. forces conducted strikes in Iraq, targeting Iran-backed groups, including Kataib Hezbollah, in response to an attack that injured 4 Americans at an air base on Saturday. The group was said to have launched a barrage of missiles at the base, 2 of which made it through air defense systems. According to Central Command, U.S. strikes hit Kataib Hezbollah headquarters, training facilities, and some munition storage areas. The Iraqi prime minister responded to the strikes, calling them an irresponsible escalation and considering them to be hostile acts. U.S. officials defended the mission as U.S. forces protecting themselves. Sweden is one step closer to becoming a member of NATO. Turkey's legislature has endorsed Sweden's membership after having delayed it for more than a year. Turkey had accused Sweden of being too lenient toward groups deemed by Turkey as security threats. Over the past year, Sweden adjusted its anti-terrorism laws. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said this was welcome news, calling Sweden a strong, capable defense partner and adding that bringing Sweden into NATO will make the alliance safer and stronger. This leaves Hungary as the only NATO ally to not yet ratify the addition of Sweden. NATO requires unanimous approval from all members to add another country. The apocalypse is nearing, at least according to atomic scientists and their doomsday clock. On Tuesday, the science-oriented nonprofit organization, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, set the doomsday clock to 90 seconds to midnight for the 2nd year in a row. This is the closest to the hour of midnight the clock has ever been in its 77 years, with midnight representing the hour when the Earth will become unlivable. The scientists set the clock each year based on what they call existential risk to the planet and humans. The group saying this year the concerns were centered on the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, nuclear threats, climate change, and the rise of artificial intelligence. The atomic scientists say the clock is meant to be a warning to the public that change is needed to keep the world stable. Netflix has reasons to celebrate this morning, announcing it has gained millions of subscribers and surpassing Wall Street expectations. The streaming giant says it added 13 million subscribers in the 4th quarter, nearly 5 million more than expected. Netflix now has more than 260 million subscribers, which is more than any of its streaming competition. Netflix said its crackdown on password sharing has been a success. The company said its focus is on expanding its entertainment offerings from live events to sports content to video games. This comes on the heels of Netflix locking in a 10-year deal valued at $5 billion to live stream WWE's pro wrestling show Raw starting in 2025. Our Simone Del Rosario takes a closer look at this deal in her report on SAN.com. Finally, this morning, the nominations for the 96th Annual Academy Awards were announced on Tuesday. And as usual, there were plenty of surprises, as well as some significant snubs. Christopher Nolan's 3-hour blockbuster Oppenheimer led the field with 13 nominations, including Best Picture and Director, and acting nominations for Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., and Emily Blunt. The film's partner in this past summer's Barbenheimer craze, Barbie, the top grossing film of the year, garnered 8 nominations, including Best Picture and 2 for acting. However, Barbie's director Greta Gerwig and star Margot Robbie were both left out of their respective categories. Ryan Gosling, who was nominated, called out the snubs, saying they were the 2 people most responsible for the history-making, globally celebrated film. Speaking of history, Lily Gladstone, the star of Killers of the Flower Moon, became the first Native American nominated for Best Actress. The 2024 Oscars air on March 10th on ABC. These are your top stories for this Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe to the Morning Rundown newsletter to get the top stories each weekday morning. Just go to san.com/rundown to sign up. Unbiased, straight facts, that's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.